Hi guys, it's Mrs. Alberts here and welcome back to my channel. And finally our last poem number 10, Die Hardloper deur Ernst van Heerden. Die hardloper, met wilde maar met suiwer hart het hy die woeste wedren vel begin en elke myl met rappe voet getart, hy sou die vlugste lopers nog oorwin. The runner, with wild but with pure heart did he start the wild race fiercely, and defied every mile with swift foot. He would still beat the fastest runners. The title tells us that this poem is about an athlete, a runner. And when we look at line 1, we start with the words wilde, maar and suiwer highlighted. So maar is your contrasting conjunction, and it is contrasting the word suiwer with the word wilde. Now, wilde means that he is excited about the race, wild at heart, to be excited, opgewonde. And suiwer hart means a pure heart, so he is content. He has prepared really hard for this race. He is fit. He knows what to expect, so he is ready. So he might be excited, but also at rest at the same time with the start of this race. Line 2 tells us that this is not going to be an easy race. It says woeste wedren, and when something is woes, like the woesrand, then you know that it's going to be rough, eh? So this is not going to be an easy race. But he starts strong. The word fell means to start strong. So that's now literally going down and starting a race. Start. But he starts strong. Yeah, you got me. Then, in line 2 and line 3, you will see that there's a lot of alliteration. You've got the W's in woeste wedren, and you've got the M's in male and met, and this alliteration is there, the function, to emphasize that this race is not going to be an easy race. Now, line 1 and line 2 has inversie, where you know the rules of stompie. You can start with any part of a stompie sentence as long as your verb comes next or second. So there's nothing wrong with these sentences, but what they do in poetry is they try and start with something that is important to highlight or to emphasize, or in other cases to shuffle the word order around so that you have rhyming words at the back. Now in this case, yes, the rhyming words are at the back, but the inversie here was to highlight the runner. So you start with attributes about the runner, met wilde, and in line 2 you've got het hy, so hy, the athlete, being put first. Now a mile, this talks in olden times, because Ernst van Heerden, he's an old toppie, and he used to write a lot of these athletic poetry. And back in his day, they would run a mile. Now, a mile would be our 1,500 meter for the athletes out there. But the mile was 1,600 meters. Now, this athlete could possibly be a 3,000 meter athlete or a 5,000 meter athlete, or even still like today, a 1,600 meter athlete on its own. But the mile refers to him being a long distance runner. Line 3 tells us rappe voet. Rappe voet means fast footed. So it is that he is with swift foot. He is quick. Line 3 also has getart, which means that he almost comes across to be arrogant, but he is just sure of himself, and therefore, because he's so sure that he's going to win this race, he actually taunts the mile. So he is standing at the start, taunting the mile, and when he starts, he runs strong and he taunts the mile because he is going to beat this race. He is going to win. Line 4 says hy sou die vlugste lopers nog oorwin. Hy sou. So shows us here not past tense as you might think, but actually future tense. So it's a very difficult concept, like this future past tense thing. But it tells you that he would still win a lot of races. He would still win the fastest runners. So that means that he is young, he is strong, he is a good athlete. And he is busy in this moment winning even the fastest runners. So he's moving ahead in the race. He is passing a lot of fast runners and he is on his way to the front. Line 4, the word lopers is actually just a shortened version of the word hardlopers, which means he is referring to runners. Now that oorwin means to win. So he is there excited. He is ready. He has trained really hard. This is not going to be an easy race, but he is swift-footed, and he is taunting the smile because he is self-assured. He is going to beat everyone. Sy hart het hoog geklop, sy bloed was heet, die winde het sy hare golf gelig, met snelle draf het hy die baan gemeet, die vreug van spierkrag was op sy gesig. His heart beat high, his blood was hot, the winds lifted his wave of hair, with a fast trot he measured the course, the joy of muscular strength was on his face. He loves running, this person that Adams was writing about, and he is running and his heartbeat is high, he is hot, he is sweaty, and the wind is blowing through his hair. You can see with the H alliteration, the rhythm that they create with the sounds. It also emphasizes the sentence, how hot he is, how high his pulse is at this moment, but also you can see the H's being like almost his footsteps as he is running. And the winds are blowing through his hair. That's how fast he is going. So it emphasizes how fast he's running. But there's a little metaphor there, the word haregolf. So his hair, his fringe, I don't know if boys call this a fringe, but that little thingy in the front that hangs over your eyes sometimes is lifted by the wind, and they are comparing it to a wave of the ocean, like this little wavy thing. And as he is running, he is, just note, draf means to jog, but it is a snelle draf, so it is a fast jog, that jog that I envy when I watch athletics, when people run, because they are basically jogging at the speed of my 100 meters sprints. But anyway, as he is running at a fast pace, he also measures his distance. Now I'll get back to that in a moment. Inversie is here to make rijmdwang. So they've shuffled the word order here so that the word gemeet could be at the back so that it can rhyme with heet. So he is jogging but at a fast pace, and as he is jogging he is basically counting his laps, or he is looking at the distance he still has left, which annoys lap counters, let me just tell you, shout out to Matthew, but all long distance runners do this, and this brings joy to him. Vreugde. It is shortened to vreug so that it can fit to the rhythm of this poem. And running brings him joy, and he also finds joy in his muscles working, the strength he experiences as he is running. This is so enjoyable for him that you can actually see it on his face. Hy het geloop met stormdrang in sy bloed, sy ademstoot 'n hete wind gejaag, die see se branding in sy strenge moed. Toe hoor hy reeds die donker bitter vraag. He walked with impetuousness in his blood. His breath blows a hot gust of wind. The seas surf in its stern courage. Then he already heard the dark, bitter question. I apologize again, Matrix, like the last poem. Sorry, ne? This is where it takes a turn again. So here he is still running. He has what they call in German, please, Duits is not Dutch, okay? Duits is German, Sturm und Drang, which means storm and urge. It's when you run really fast and you've got a lot of emotions and a will to run. You are motivated to win. And that he has in his blood, because this is an athlete through and through, and his main objective is to win. And then they look at line 10. And now again we're jumping to Dutch. Now you have the word Dutch uit Nederlands. The word ademstoot is the way you pull in your breath and push it out when you are running. So that's a sharp in pull and a very quick burst out of breath as you are running. In line 10, we've got hete wind gejaag. It is a warm wind that he is running. There is this sound of his breathing, which is fast and hard. So his breath is also hot as he is breathing in and out. And then we've got die see se branding. So branding here means branders. And this is waves, ocean waves. Now when they say the ocean waves are in his head, I want to say, what they mean is it's the sound of the ocean in your ears. So when you are running really fast and you have this rhythmic blowing in or breathing in and out, you have this sound in your ears. That's what that is. And it is in his strong or stern courage. So he is holding himself together. He is still certain that he is going to beat everybody in this race. And then we have the word to in line 12, which is vending, which means a turn. So everything from line 1 to line 3, line 1 to line 12, stanza 1 to stanza 3, leads up to line 12, 2. So it was an explanation of what you see as the runner is running. It is how he starts. It's how he is feeling. It's his breath. It's his blood. It's his muscles. It's his face. And then we get to line 12. Then he hears the dark, bitter question, and it ends with a colon there, which means in the next stanza we are going to explain more about what this bitter question is. But he hears something negative, something that could possibly influence his running. So there we have the colon, so we know that a explanation is about to follow. So from stanza 1 to 3, we've got a positive athlete. He is sure that he is going to win. Wie is die ongesiene makker in die loop? Van wie die voet langs syne en die wind van asem agter hom? Van wie die hoop dat nog 'n bors die dun wit lint mag vind? Who is the unseen companion in the barrel? Whose foot beside his and the wind of breath behind him? Of whom the hope that another breast may find the thin white ribbon? So here we have rhetorical questions over and over and over. These are the questions that you ask while you are running, when you are hearing somebody's footsteps behind you or next to you. There is an urgency to know who this unseen person is that is running, and is this person going to win? Is this another contender? Who is this unseen person running? Now, those of you who are athletes would know the worst thing for any athlete, whether it's a long distance race or a short sprint, you never turn around to look. You don't have time. You have to focus on your race and on you alone. You don't have time to look around to see who's next to you or who's catching up with you. It actually breaks your speed. So these questions will be in his mind until he finally sees an answer. So in line 13, we've got a denotative meaning, and I think later also a connotative meaning. So denotatief is 'n letterlike, konnotatief figuurlike. So die ongesiene makker, the word makker means buddy in English. So there's an unseen friend next to him. Literally, somebody who is unknown, who is running either behind or next to him. But this is also ironic because it's not really a team sport in athletics. So this is not a buddy. It's not a team mate that's next to you. It's actually a competitor, a contender for the win in the race. So there's ironic that they call him a buddy. And then figuratively, and this is where the sad part comes in, I'm sorry. Figuratively, this is because it is a race against death. This whole poem now suddenly takes a very deep and dark turn. I'm sorry. But it puts a runner in the middle of life's race, where we are all young and strong and confident that we can win, but there's somebody running next to us or behind us, somebody we cannot see, and that's death. And as we are running towards the end of our race, we all know that death will catch up to us, beat us at the end. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's just continue in line 15 now. Oh, sorry, we're still in 13. How did we get so? I got ahead real quick. Wedloop is the word for race when we are talking about an athletics race, and the word loop in line 13 is a shortened version of wedloop, again for rhythm. Then line 14 and 16, we've got die voet en 'n bors. Instead of referring to an entire person, an athlete running behind them, they are simply referring to the foot and the chest, and that's called synecdoche. It's when we are referring to a person, but we are only referring to parts, or we're referring to something and we're only referring to parts. Line 14 and 15, we've got die wind en van asem. And this refers to that strong breathing that we had in the previous slide. We have that same strong breathing now, but this is not the athlete's breath. This is, he can hear not only the footsteps of this person running next to or behind him, but he can also hear the wind of his breath behind him. So that person is really close to him if he can feel the wind of his breath behind him. I'll also hear it, obviously. And then there's some symbolism in line 16, talking about that thin white lint ribbon. So we don't see ribbons in our normal athletics meets. We see them normally in like comrades and stuff. But it refers to the finish line. It refers to somebody beating you over the finish line. And then line 13 to 16 as a whole, we've got the rhetorical questions that emphasize the pressure that this contender or death is putting on the athlete. There's some enjambment from line 13 to 16, line 14 to 16, and that is to hasten the tempo. It quickens the tempo because obviously the runner is running faster, and it also emphasizes the urgency of your runner. So strofe 2, your second stanza, is the exact opposite of stanza 1. Stanza 1, you have the runner, the athlete, catching up with other athletes and beating towards the front of the race. And here in this stanza, he is being caught up with. So somebody is catching up to him. Die vreemde spanmaat het hy nie geken. Nooit hardloop hy weer sonder pyn of vrees. Hy weet al het hy nou die loop gewen, die ander man sal eendag eerste wees. He didn't know the strange teammate. Never again does he run without pain or fear. He knows that even though he won the race, the other man will one day be first. Die shows us that this is a specific person he is talking about. And here again, they are talking about this strange teammate. Now, when we look at how they are emphasizing this, we can see that he doesn't know this person. When you think to the deeper meaning of this poem, the strange teammate is exactly what death is. Even though we do not see it, it is something that is a part of all our lives. So technically, if life was a race, then death, catching up to all of us, is indeed a teammate. You cannot live apart from it. We are not vampires or immortals, unfortunately. So the irony here again is that he calls him a teammate, and you're supposed to be knowing your teammates, and here they're talking about an unknown teammate. So therein lies the contrast and the irony. In line 18, again, we've got inversie, which places the emphasis on the word nooit, meaning that never again will he run his races without fear. So it also emphasizes the vrees, which is right at the back of that sentence. So both the words nooit and vrees is emphasized there. So he will never again run a race as confidently as he did that day, because he now has fear of the pain of knowing that there is somebody catching up to him who is eventually going to win. Line 19 says, even though he won this race, and again we've got the word loop, which is referring to the word wedloop. He won this race. He did cross the finish line in this race first. He broke that white ribbon. He says, even though he won the race now, he now knows. In line 20, the ander man, this unknown person who was running behind him, this unknown teammate, die makker wat ons van gelees het, this person will one day be first. So eendag shows us that it is an unknown time. It isn't a specific time where this person will win. It is an undisclosed time. We don't know when it will be. But this man will win that day. We've got the assonance emphasizing that last section, eendag eerste wees, knowing that one day this man will win. So, There's symbolism and a through and through metaphor in this poem. This shows a physical race of athletes being confident and young and strong and running and winning, and the fear of the person behind you almost beating you or catching up with you. That is your literal side of this poem. But your figurative side of this poem is that this race refers to your life's race. Young people are strong and ambitious, and they work hard. And with every success that they achieve, they realize that every year they are getting older, and there will be more and more people, younger people than you, coming in behind you, ready to push past you. So this teammate is not necessarily a real person. This is symbolic of age, how age catches up with all of us, and in the end it beats us, because age also refers to death running beside us all the time. And in the end, something we all have in common, and I'm sorry I'm going so dark, is that death is going to catch up with all of us. We don't know when. It might be at the end of our life race, being when we are old. It might be soon. We never know what's going to happen, but death will always win. Death will always catch up with us. And I apologize yet again that it turned so dark, but there you go. Today you won. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you've got any questions, you can follow me on Instagram at Afrikaans Classroom. Please subscribe to my channel for more videos, like and share.